On today's episode of 6th grade math, we are going to start talking about area. So area is a topic that everybody should understand because all you have to do is do what the formula says. So when you know the formula for a shape, you can solve for any missing piece in a problem. So they're going to give us a formula and we can get any piece that we want. And remember, equations must have an equal sign. And remember, equations equal. They sound the same. So this is just a small picture of our star chart, okay? So we are really going to be focusing on the area. We can go ahead and mark out all this volume stuff. We're not talking about that today. We are talking about area. So we have triangles. Okay, so hopefully we know what triangles look like. They have 3 sides. We have a rectangle, a parallelogram. I do want you to also add the word square, okay, because that also falls under that category. So rectangle, parallelogram, square. And then we have a trapezoid. So if you do not know what any of those shapes are, we're going to go on the inside and talk about that. But hopefully we kind of remember what those look like. All right, so let's go to the inside. So the first thing we are going to talk about is a parallelogram. So parallelogram, it's kind of fun to say. Notice on a parallelogram, we have those 2 L's. So parallelogram means it has 2 sets of parallel sides. So those L's show us these 2 sides. Notice they match our L's. They're just sideways. And then these 2 sides also are parallel. So parallelograms have to have 2 sides that are parallel, okay? They could also be shifted this way, okay? It's like a rectangle that's been squished, all right? And the formula for that is area equals, and then parallelogram is right here, and that is our formula, BH. So B, hopefully we know, stands for base, and H stands for height. Notice they're next to each other, so that is an invisible multiplication sign. So base times height. So now let's look at this shape, and I need a base and I need a height. So base is always going to be on the bottom, base bottom. So that would be my 12 down here. That is my base. 12 would be the base, okay? And I'm going to label that. Also, if I go directly across from that, that top could also technically be a base because those are going to be the same. So that would also be 12 centimeters. All right. The next thing I need to talk to you about is the height. So notice we have a number here and a number here. A trick for height, okay? The height is always going to either be on a dotted line, so this right here, that dotted line, or the easiest thing is to look for that right angle. So if you have a dotted line or a right angle, that is going to be your height. Okay, that's an easy way to remember this. Now, this number outside, this 8, notice how it is on a line that is sideways. We are never going to use that. So let's go down here. We are going to call that the slant. We never ever use the slant. So if it's sideways, it's wrong. We want our height to be up and down on the dotted line or the right angle. So we have our base, we have our height, and then we could go and solve. All right, triangle, let's look at its formula. So go back to the front. Triangle is right here. A equals 1/2 BH, so let's write that. A, and I'm going to write it in the middle of all these triangles. A equals 1/2 BH. And we need to know that there are invisible multiplication signs in between all of those, okay? Now, triangles have 3 sides. So this one, 1, 2, 3. This one, 1, 2, 3. That dotted line does not count. That's our height. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So these are all triangles. So let's go through and talk about where the base and the height are in all of those. So again, base, bottom. So in this one, my 18th is my base. Do we have any slants? Yes, we do. The 13 is sideways and the 9 is sideways. Remember that 7 is on the dotted line. That is my hint that it is my H. All right, let's go to this one next. Okay, my base is bottom, so 14 would be base. And notice this 10 is outside. That is A-okay. It is on the right angle and it has dotted lines. So my height is 10. All right, let's look at this one. This one's even easier. We have base at the bottom. And on this one, we have that right angle. That tells me where my height is. So this would be my height. And then on this one, I see some slants. I got this one and this one. So my base would be bottom. And I have a right angle and a dotted line again. So that would be my height. Okay, moving on to trapezoids. So trapezoid, first let's write down our formula. So let's go back to the front. Trapezoid is right here. That's a big formula. So let's go ahead and write that down. So A equals 1/2 parentheses B plus B, okay? On the real formula, it has a little 1 and a little 2. We don't technically need those. That just stands for base 1, base 2, and then we also have an H outside. So remember, we have invisible multiplication here and here. So this time, notice I have 2 B's, so I need 2 bases. So looking at this one first, we have 2 slants. Get rid of those. That's always our first step. And then on my first base, I have an 8. And then we go directly above, and that would be my second base. Okay? And then I have a right angle and a dotted line, so height. All right, let's look at the next one. I have a slant. And then I have base 1, base 2, and then height. It's got those right angles, so that would be my height. All right, let's go through and look how they would actually test this. So which expression can be used to find A, the area? It's always going to say area of the trapezoid. So I want you to look back at the front. If you need to, you can pause and write down the formula for a trapezoid. Because if we don't have the right formula, we can't do anything. That's our first step, write the formula. So A equals 1/2 parentheses B plus B H. So I already see a Joe Schmo just based off my formula because I'm supposed to be adding in the parentheses, and look at C. That's multiplication. You cannot change a formula at all. If they do, it is wrong. That is a Joe. Okay, now let's look at the picture. So if I have slants, we're going to mark them out. Do we have slants? Yes. The 7 is a slant, and the 5 is a slant. So if you have a 7 or a 5 in your answer choices, it's a Joe. And look at A. Oh, we have both. B also has a 7. So the only thing left is D. So let's double check. So base, height. So if I rewrote this 1/2, what was one of my bases? 8 plus 6. And the 4 would have to be outside because it's an H. And okay, so mine has 8 plus 6. Theirs says 6 plus 8. Is that okay? Can we switch adding? Yes, we can. So D would be my answer. All right, next one. The length of the base of a parallelogram, there's my shape, is 14 centimeters. The corresponding height is H. Which formula can be used to find the area of the parallelogram in square centimeters? So I need you to pay attention here. Square centimeters is centimeters squared, like that. That does not mean it's a square. It is a parallelogram. So write the formula. Go back to the front. Parallelogram. Okay, parallelogram is A equals base times height. So A equals base times height. I see pretty much all Joe Schmoes. A has adding, we're not adding. What about B? What does a number next to a letter mean to do? Multiply, so that looks pretty good. C has a 1/2, D has a 1/2, no good. So obviously B is my only answer choice. All right, last one. Tim has a set of plastic squares. Okay, so we're dealing with squares. The table shows the relationship between A, the area of each square in square centimeters. Remember, that's just telling us centimeters. And S, the side length of each square in centimeters. Which equation can be used to represent the relationship between A and S for these squares? So I am not going to use the first row because they both have a 1. Let's use this one. These are small numbers and that will help me. The reason I'm not using the first row also is it says A equals S. So if this is my A, 4 is my A, S is 2. So does 4 equal 2? No, it doesn't. But in the first row, 1 equals 1, but it has to work for every single row. So A is out. Okay, so if S is 2, that would say 2 times 2 equals, and my A was 4. Does that work? Yes, it does. Okay, the next one. 2 plus S is 2. Okay, does that equal 4? Okay. And then S is 2 plus 2. Does that equal 4? Yes, it does. Okay, so now let's pick a different row. Because now I need a different A and a different S. Okay, so now my A is 49 and my S is 7. So I have 7 times 7. Does that equal 49? Yes. 2, and then my S was 7. Does that equal 49? 2 plus 7 is 9, so no. Okay, and then S plus S, 7 plus 7 is 14, not 49. So you might have to use more than one row. It has to work for every single row. So B would be my answer. Biggest thing I need you to know today, find the name of the shape, write the formula.